Acquire the deadly competence to reach any goal. Learn to self-motivate, to maximize productivity, and escape the traps of addiction, procrastination, and laziness with personalized coaching from our next guest. Hi, and welcome to the You World Order Showcase podcast, where we feature life, health, transformational coaches, and spiritual entrepreneurs stepping up to be the change they seek in the world. I'm your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist, on a mission to help coaches and entrepreneurs amplify their voice, monetize their mission, and get visible. Today, we are chatting with Roman Gelperin, who is an author and life coach. Roman specializes in elite motivational coaching, and he is also a Montessori school instructor. Welcome to the show, Roman. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you, Jill, and good to be here.
So we're going to ask you the big question to get us started. Are you ready? What's the most significant thing, in your opinion, as individuals we can do to make an impact on how the world is going?
Well, I feel like a lot of people would say this very thing, but cliche as it might be, here it is. I recently learned from actually a monk who's a very good friend of mine, a definition of spirituality that I have been using ever since he told it to me. It basically is spirituality is a process of growth in your consciousness towards enlightenment. So basically expanding your consciousness in the direction of reaching enlightenment or growing your awareness in the direction of ultimately reaching enlightenment. And the best thing that people could do to make the world better and make themselves better and just make everything better around them is, yeah, to practice this kind of spirituality, to practice whatever spiritual practice they might have. And there's just almost an infinite amount of them that will grow their consciousness in the direction of enlightenment. And that doesn't mean they have to achieve enlightenment. Every step in that direction, every increment makes them better people, makes them more capable, more kind, more aware, and can do good in the world and be the best version of themselves, or grow in the direction of being the best versions of themselves.
That's so true. The more that we understand ourselves and work towards living our best lives, the better the whole world becomes because we're happier. Happy people
And
are
more
fun
than
to be.
just happy, we're more conscious, meaning we're more aware of what's going on around us, inside us, between us and other people. And the more aware you are, the less likely you are to make unconscious mistakes that mess things up and create a bad situation for yourself, other people, and the world at large.
Do you think that becoming more aware of where you are personally and more spiritually awakened helps in terms of interpersonal relationships for things like leaving space for other people to be who they want to be rather than trying to condemn people or force people into a box and trying to get them to be just like you because it's safe here?
That's certainly one direction of it. So people could basically, there's three major domains of existence. The I, what's going on inside you, the you, meaning other people and your relationship with them, and the it, the impersonal world. So spirituality could proceed in any of these domains. A person could be very aware of what's going on inside themselves. They might just know themselves exquisitely, but be a complete novice at social interaction. That's a separate line of spiritual development, awareness in the you realm, in the realm of your relationship with others. And a person might be extremely aware of what's going on in the world. He'd be a great scientist. He could know the laws of physics and chemistry and be able to explain the whole web of nature, cosmic order, the laws of be very unaware of what's going on inside themselves or their relationship with other people. So that's one more direction of spirituality, and having relationships with other people and being aware of what's going on in the field between you and another person, between you and a kind of community of people. That's another line of spiritual development. And yeah, that is worth taking because people very advanced in those other two realms, that competence does not necessarily transfer to the social realm. So there too, that's a very for a lot of people, that's a big growing tip where they could apply spirituality and a spiritual practice to bring more consciousness to your relationships, basically.
Found when you talk to your clients, if they follow a pattern of like you divided it into three kind of categories of how spirituality interacts on a practical level, do people follow a pattern normally? Like they discover themselves and then relationships are better and then they it expands out to the it? Or do people just are they naturally drawn in one area or another? How does that tend to look? Just out of
Yes,
curiosity.
so there is no set unfolding pattern of where everyone has to start. Different people have different personalities. They have different proclivities to be drawn to one of these three realms.
Mhm.
And there are some people who are extremely socially advanced, very socially conscious, socially capable, who have no idea about like science or even their own internal world. A lot of people who are very conscious of their own inner lives, but might not know anything about the external world or relationships. So it depends on the person. People have proclivities and they lean into these. It's also not at all uncommon to find a person who's not very well developed in any of those lines or people who are pretty developed in a few or all of them. There's no set pattern. Any one of them, people can get on, begin growing their consciousness in, and where they gravitate to without any spiritual instruction just depends on the person.
Interesting, interesting. So, where would people like start in all of this? I mean, how would they know that they need to embark on the journey or reach out to you or read your
Mm.
books or like what?
So, since this is largely about life coaching, I actually offer life coaching in pretty much each of these three realms. And one way they find that they need something like this is just their lives are an incredible disaster. In one of these realms, they are screwing up their relationships. They are just going from heartbreak to heartbreak and are just disillusioned about finding love and dating and just like are afraid to date, afraid of being hurt, just completely just being wiped out in the dating realm or in the friends realm, for example. They can be eaten up by their internal conflicts. They don't not too spiritually aware of what's going on inside themselves, so they suffer. And they suffer hard because their anxieties and insecurities and shames and the shadow part of themselves that they haven't dealt with is going to cause them a lot of suffering and they won't even know why or what to do about it. And in the physical realm, they might just, their career is not a success. They're trying to achieve things. They have all these goals, but they've been procrastinating anything for months, years, and they're just not as much a success as they want to be. And they just, they can't get any traction going. And that's the elite motivation coaching part of it, where people are just eaten up by motivational problems, by addictions, procrastination, laziness, inability to control to harness their willpower. And yeah, they're just stuck somewhere in life. And so they're looking for help, and I offer some solutions.
I love that. So do you offer them through actual coaching, or is it just through your reading your books? And what are your books and how do they help people?
Yeah, I mean, my books for now, my most popular book is Addiction, Procrastination, and Laziness, or a proactive guide to the psychology of motivation. And that sold like over 100,000 copies, very popular. It addresses that it realm of how to achieve success in the external world, understanding, well, partly it's an understanding of yourself in relation to motivation and its motivational tools that will help you achieve it. Practical advice for reaching your goals, which is the number one thing today people want. And
Yeah.
it's clear that this is the number one thing people today want because something like 80-90% of all self-help books are on that topic. Productivity, self-motivation, self-discipline, and people buy them like
And
like fire.
manifesting, but I think the two of them kind of go together. You know, you can know how to manifest, and I do believe in the quantum realm and putting yourself in that position, but then there's the practical about how to actually interact with the universe, the material things that you want to manifest. I
Hmm,
mean, just like wanting something and sitting on the couch is not probably going to make it happen. It might
right.
sometimes, but you almost always have to take some action in order for a reaction to
Mhm.
happen. And
Yes, for
manifesting
sure.
is just the appearance of something in the physical realm.
Yes, agreed. People have to do something. Success is not going to be handed to them on a platter, no matter how much they visualize it or try to vibrate at that frequency. It's not going to come unless you do something.
Yeah, I mean you need to do that in terms of vibrating at the same frequency as the thing that you're wanting to attract, but you get there by actually doing something, not just wishing for something, which is so how
Agreed.
how do romantic relationships fit into this self-actualization process?
Well, self-actualization means living your life to the fullest, achieving your highest level of well-being, your flourishing in life. And part of flourishing in life is having romantic relationships, having good ones. I would say preferably a life partner. Yeah, you could start have a life with, maybe have kids with. That's an integral part of, and yeah, that part of self-actualization. You're not so self-actualized if maybe your career is going extremely well, but like your relationships are a disaster. That's not very good self-actualization. It might be okay for a short span of time, but eventually you're going to have to address romantic relationships as well.
I find there are people that they may think that they don't want romantic relationships, but do you think that that actually exists?
Yeah, I mean, there's things that happen to people early in life in which, on some level, I would kind of view it as a failure of development. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, they don't develop maybe even a sexual instinct is kind of dead in them for the most part. They're not too drawn to romantic relationships. That said, every human being on earth without exception, for those people, every single one of their ancestors, all the way down to like first piece of DNA that that ever shuddered into molecular life, has managed to reproduce. So that is the most fundamental, probably one of the most fundamental parts of their being, is being a sexual creature who's like a machine to get the genes inside you into the next generation. And that is an inextricable part of your nature. It is perhaps the fundamental part of your nature. At some level, everyone has within them very, very, very strong drives to reproduce in some way. There are people who, because of some things that happen to them, absolutely either really fear romantic relationships or are extremely averse to them. But we have it in us, the sexual instinct. We have in us the instinct to pair bond, attach to another individual romantically. Those might not necessarily lead to reproduction. There's things like homosexuality, which won't lead to reproduction. The instincts are there, so even that is satisfying. Very real, very powerful instincts. There's a very small amount of people who are not drawn to sex or romantic relationships at all. And yeah, it's I would say some kind of extreme trauma in their childhoods, something that really caused them to not be able to tap into what is certainly inside them, which is the potential for sex and pair bonding and the drive to achieve those. Something might be blocking those off, but it's in all of us.
Do you help people with that? I mean, is that like part of what you do?
No, no one. I don't help people who I just can't. Like I don't want sex or relationships. What should I do? I haven't worked with people like that. But for people who are afraid of romantic relationships, who've had a lot of disappointments in their lives and in their past romances, I do work with those people pretty often. That's one of the main types of coaching I offer. It's dating and relationship coaching. And yeah, that's a problem with a lot of people there. Have been so hurt in love in the past that they're afraid to get into another romantic relationship. Usually they're getting older and they're like in their start hitting their late 30s, early 40s, and their biology just tells them, "Oh my God, this is a crisis. We need to we need to pass their genes into the next generation," and then they're motivated to overcome those psychological hangups.
Yeah, I've seen that in society in general. And then you get to like I'm in my 60s and I've reached a point where, I have reproduced and there's once you get over that hump, it's kind of freeing because then you
Mhm.
you can turn your thoughts to other areas in your life. All my kids are grown and the youngest one is finally launched. But
Nice.
yeah, that's really interesting. So do your books address, I know you've written more than one. You've written like six or seven?
6 books. I have not yet written any books on romantic relationships and dating. Eventually, there will be one or more. Most of my books address self-actualization, which is more that dimension of spirituality, learning about yourself,
Mhm.
learning to know yourself, to what goes on in your mind, resolving your internal conflicts. And part of it is actualizing that your best self in the world, which includes growing in your career path, being a real success. For self-actualizing people, it's not just a career. There's usually a mission. It's like a mission or a purpose that brings them into ecstasy just by successfully pursuing it. And romantic relationships are part of that. It's implied right in what self-actualization is. My books right now only touch on that. There's no yet book by Roman Gelperin that addresses exclusively the romantic relationship aspect of self-actualization.
Self-actualization is more of like the basis for all of the other pieces. Like I hear often when I talk to coaches that be selfish, get to know yourself, solve your own
Mhm.
problems, and then a lot of these other problems will also resolve. Do you find that to be true, or do you have a different thought on that?
I would say it depends how you phrase it. The word selfish is extremely, extremely stigmatized
Yes.
by years of religion. People, it's like people use that word in all kinds of different senses and they speak past each other because people have different definitions of it. What I would say is if in life you put the interest of others before, yes,
Okay, so we're back. We had just a little technical difficulties, but you know me, I just pause it and we keep rolling on. So Roman's back. We were talking about the definition of selfishness, and he was just saying that it was not a good idea to just call it selfishness, and then he was going to define it for us.
yes, I think the word selfishness is extremely stigmatized, and people, when they use that word, talk past each other because they have different definitions of it. In terms of that, what I think is if you put the interests of other people or your perceived in what you perceive to be the interests of other people above your own interest, above your own well-being, you are going to make an absolute mess of your life. It is perfectly fine to help other people. It is even encouraged. That has to proceed from a base of your own well-being. You cannot do much good for other people if you don't first secure your own boat. If you don't take care of your own well-being first, no one will benefit much, especially you, miserable and unconscious and trying to help other people that way. You will likely only generate more misery.
Falling into the ditch that somebody else has dug because they say it's fine down here. Don't be miserable with me. Um, and you're over on Substack. So let's talk about Substack for a minute. It's my favorite
Mm.
place.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's like a website, Patreon, a blog, and an email list and a chat messenger all rolled into one platform. I've
And
been using it.
podcasting.
I've been using it. I enjoy it. And right, your podcast thing. Yeah, very impressed with the platform. Very good technology. I like it. I've made an author's website. I've just moved pretty much everything I I do online just there.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's a place where you can be authentically yourself. People are kind, and it's like it feels to me like there's a little bit higher quality of people over there in terms of you can discuss ideas without having to have an opinion on it or forcing other people to see things your way. You can express an opinion, and people try to be kind over there, generally speaking. At least the people that I connect with seem to be that way.
That's how we connected. We found each other on Substack, and it's just kind of your whole body of work is there, and you could, yeah, just connect with people based on that, and it's
Yeah, it has been really interesting. And I know that for my listeners that aren't familiar with Substack, I will put a link below where you can actually um, get started on Substack. But Roman offers a 45-minute session to all of his paid Substack subscribers. Do you want to talk about that for just a few minutes, Roman, and share with
mm.
people how they can become subscribers?
Yeah, if you go to my Substack, you could just, it's also my website now, just romangelperin.com. You can become a free member where you'll get access to my posts. And if you become a paying member for it's something like $6 or $7 a month, you can have access to a free 45-minute coaching session with me in any of my coaching modalities in elite motivation coaching, self-actualization coaching, or dating and relationship coaching. And very good offer. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, and for a year is a bargain with the way he's set up his Substack. So I encourage you to subscribe for a year, It's less than a coffee a week. So, and then you get all these extras with Roman um, and that's romangelperin.substack.com.
Yes, or romangelperin.com. It redirects to my Substack
Oh,
anyway.
that's great. That's great. So thanks so much for joining us today, Roman. It's been great chatting with you about self-actualization.
Thanks so much, Jill. Yeah, this was very fun.
And to learn more about Roman, consider becoming a paid subscriber to his publication, romangelperin.substack.com or just romangelperin.com. And we'll put those links in the show notes below. Thank you for tuning in with us today. If you have a podcast or you're interested in starting one to get your message in front of our huge and active audience, be sure to reach out to us at jill@gnostictv.com. We love to help spiritual entrepreneurs and coaches amplify their voice and monetize their mission and offer a variety of ways to do this on the Gnostic TV Network platform. Join us for our next episode as we share what others are doing to raise the global frequency. And remember, change begins with you. You have all the power to change the world. Start today and get visible.